Hey mighty companions, brothers and sisters. Looking at A Course in Miracles today, I am pulled to the very back of the book, Clarification of Terms, and I'm going to cover the introduction and then make some recordings on clarification of terms. And I'm just going to go through the titles of what the clarification of terms covers. This is just helpful for students to understand some of the meanings that the course uses, some words that may be new to you, difficult to understand the meaning that the course is meaning. So we're going to cover the ego, the miracle, mind, spirit, forgiveness, the face of Christ, true perception, knowledge, Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, epilogue, not too much to cover, but some better understandings of what these words mean. So, moving on, we're going to go through the introduction. So this is not a course in philosophical speculation, nor is it concerned with precise terminology. It is concerned only with atonement, the at-one-ment, or the correction of perception. The means of the atonement is forgiveness. The structure of individual consciousness is essentially irrelevant because it is a concept representing the original error or the original sin, the original separation, the fall. To study the error itself does not lead to correction if you are indeed to succeed in overlooking the error, and it is just this process of overlooking at which the course aims. All terms are potentially controversial, and those who seek controversy will find it. Yet those who seek clarification will find it as well. They must, however, be willing to overlook controversy, recognizing that it is a defense against the truth in the form of a delaying maneuver. Theological considerations as such are necessary, controversial, since they depend on belief and can therefore be accepted or rejected. A universal theology is impossible, but a universal experience is not only possible but necessary. It is this experience toward which the course is directed. Here alone consistency becomes possible, because here alone uncertainty ends. This course remains within the ego framework where it is needed. It is not concerned with what is beyond all error, because it is planned only to set the direction towards it. Therefore, it uses words which are symbolic and cannot express what lies beyond symbols. It is merely the ego that questions, because it is only the ego that doubts. The course merely gives another answer once a question has been raised. However, this answer does not attempt to resort to inventiveness or ingenuity. These are attributes of the ego. The course is simple. It has one function and one goal. Only in that does it remain wholly consistent, because only that can be consistent. The ego will demand many answers that this course does not give. It does not recognize as questions the mere form of a question to which an answer is impossible. The ego may ask, how did the impossible occur? To what did the impossible happen? And may ask this in many forms. Yet there is no answer, ego, only an experience. Seek only this, and do not let theology delay you. You will notice that the emphasis on structural issues in the course is brief and early. Afterwards and soon, it drops away to make way for the central teaching. Since you have asked for clarification, however, these are some of the terms that are used. So that is the introduction to the clarification of terms. So I think we'll move into mind, spirit, which is the first part after the introduction in the clarification of terms. So, mind, spirit. The term mind is used to represent the activating agent of spirit, supplying its creative energy. So the term mind, mind not being the brain, there's a difference, is used to represent the activating agent of spirit, supplying its creative energy. When the term is capitalized, it refers to God or the Christ mind. Spirit is the thought of God, which he created like himself, made in the image and likeness of God. That's what it means in the Bible. Made in the image and likeness of God is spirit. It's not a body. The unified spirit is God's one Son, or Christ. In this world, because the mind is split, as in your loving mind and the fearful mind, your ego mind, your Christ mind. In this world, because the mind is split, the sons of God appear to be separate, nor do their minds seem to be joined. In this illusory state, the concept of an individual mind seems to be meaningful. It is therefore described in the course as if it has two parts, spirit and ego. Spirit is the part that is still in contact with God through the Holy Spirit, who abides in this part but sees the other part as well. The term soul is not used except in direct biblical quotations because of its highly controversial nature. It would, however, be an equivalent of spirit, with the understanding that being of God, it is eternal and was never born. So according to course, spirit and soul are the same thing, just with it having a controversial nature. They don't use the word soul unless it's coming from direct biblical quotations. Spirit, soul, same thing. Did I read that end bit? It would, however, be an equivalent of spirit with the understanding that being of God, it is eternal and was never born. The other part of the mind is entirely illusory and makes only illusions. Spirit retains the potential for creating, but its will, which is God's, seems to be imprisoned while the mind is not unified. Creation continues unabated because that is the will of God. This will is always unified and therefore has no meaning in the world. It has no opposite and no degrees. The mind can be right or wrong, depending on the voice to which it listens. Are we listening to the Father of love or the Father of lies? Right-mindedness listens to the Holy Spirit, forgives the world, and through Christ's vision sees the real world in its place. This is the final vision, the last perception, the condition in which God takes the final step himself. Here time and illusions end together. Wrong-mindedness listens to the ego and makes illusions, perceiving sin and justifying anger, and seeing guilt, dis-ease, and death as very real. Both this world and the real world are illusions, because right-mindedness merely overlooks or forgives what never happened. Therefore, it is not the one-mindedness of the Christ mind, whose will is one with God's. In this world, the only remaining freedom is the freedom of choice. Always between two choices or two voices. Will is not involved in perception at any level and has nothing to do with choice. Consciousness is the receptive mechanism, receiving messages from above or below, from the Holy Spirit or the ego. Consciousness has levels and awareness can shift quite dramatically, but it cannot transcend the perceptual realm. At its highest, it becomes aware of the real world and can be trained to do so increasingly. Yet the very fact that it has levels and can be trained demonstrates that it cannot reach knowledge. So that's the definition and the clarification of terms of the mind, the spirit. Quite self-explanatory, quite comforting. I am made in the image and likeness of God. Spirit is the thought of God which God created like himself. The unified spirit is God's one Son, or Christ. Christ being the loving mind that we all share. Okay, lovely clarification of terms, back of the book. Enjoy.